It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk, Lawton Swan. Again, Clemson and NC State, the simulation rocking and rolling along as they were heading to halftime. Boy, a little exciting exchange on that front. We'll get that up and going for you here in hour number 2 of the program. Plus, Clemson Tom will join us as well. So 803 450 0086, 803 450 0086. And I've never tried to do this, a simulation along with having a guest on. So we will hope them to the back end of the second half, or the back end of the first half, which ended in a unique fashion. Let me pull down the branding off the show. Again, you guys are around long enough. You know how to be in touch with us and hang out with us, so I don't have to leave that up. But watch the final moments here of this half. Clemson with some timeouts in their pocket with 30 seconds left and up 10.
It's up.
Figured it gets a stop off a big sack. He made that sack right before the break. 5 seconds left in the half. On a 4th and 6, deep in their own territory, Dave Doeren rolls the dice. Dave Doeren rolls the dice, and it doesn't turn out so nice. There's a sack, KJ Henry. Because it was a change of possession, the clock stopped with 1 second left. Clemson got the ball back, flipped it, Missy Elliott style, put my thing down, flipped it, and reversed it. Lined up at a field goal from 52. B.T. Potter, boom, 19-6 at the break. Your Clemson Tigers leading NC State in the official Clemson Sports Talk simulation. Oh, there you go. All right, we got to get a like, what is going on? I know, man. It's wild. So we'll get up with Clemson Tom and get him in, and hopefully the stream will hold up. If the stream does not hold up, we'll just have to pump the brakes on the press pause.
30 minutes. So glad to have you with us.
For now, we'll get up with Clemson Tom. We'll get him in, and
halftime show
we'll just make sure it's working.
By Nissan.
Again, Clemson leading. What a weird play. I'm sure Dave Doeren did not expect that to happen.
These teams only
I get the sneaky feeling. That's not how he thought it was going to play out. By the way, I know I got to mute it. There. Sorry. So now it's muted for everybody. I know you're probably screaming, mute it, Swanee. Yep. Thank you. My sister watching my back. James says Trenton Simpson was playing. Thanks, James. I appreciate you, boss. Always appreciate our listeners here as they come out of halftime. Clemson with, what's that? 296 yards of total offense through the first half of action in our official simulation. Again, the guys over at Mark Rogers TV do a tremendous job of putting these simulations together. So if you want to see some other games, you can. And we'll try to get up with Clemson Tom here. Who knows how this will work today now that we got the sim going. I have no idea. Tom looks like he's rocking and rolling with our favorite golfer in the backdrop. See, we got the sim going. I don't know if you can see it or not. Appreciate you joining us, man.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I can actually see that. Actually, it looks really cool.
Yeah, so we've got it going here, having a good time. How's Xander doing? Xander, you doing good, buddy? Give us a thumbs up.
Say hey.
Hey.
My man. So you got a prediction on the game?
You got a prediction for the North Carolina State game?
Not sure.
You're not sure? Do you think we'll win?
Yes, that's 100% yes.
There you go.
Or if
That's 100%.
If we lose, then we'll just be like, I'd be like, let's just stop.
Just stop everything if we lose.
No more football.
Call the season.
Only practice.
Fire Dabo. I think so.
No, he's not a fire Dabo guy. He's just hit the practice field, no more games till you get it together.
So, Tom, how do you explain last weekend?
All right, I'll tell him.
How do you explain last weekend, man? How do you explain last weekend?
Explain it?
Yeah.
It was a lackluster performance, to say the least. It was embarrassing. I will say that. To watch, I felt embarrassed for them. I'm not going to be embarrassed. I'm not the one out there scheming. I'm not the one out there trying to run plays, and I'm not the one calling the plays. I'm just a guy on my couch that knows what good football looks like and what it doesn't, and it didn't look like good football. So I felt bad for them. They deserved every bit of criticism they got, coaches, players, the whole nine. And then, Monday morning when they're doing all their little interviews with the local media, and then when they get a little snappy about it, good. Get a little angry. Get a little, vinegar in your bloodstream or something. Because NC State's going to take it to you. Dave Dorn ain't going to hold anything back, and he's going to try to beat you. So if you want to act like you're mad, oh, yeah, we didn't like some of the comments. Well, good. I hope you didn't like the comments. And like, oh, we got DJ's back. Well, cool. Can you have him not only have his back, but could you have him for about 5 seconds so you can throw the ball longer than 10 yards? Talk's cheap. And inflation's up. So let's see what you got on Saturday at 3:30.
Clemson Tom with us here on a Friday afternoon. Tom, I'm going to mute your mic when I'm asking questions. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me when I'm talking to you. Okay, good, because I'm getting a little bit of feedback on your end when I talk to you. But all that being said, I mean, I think you're right. And we talked to head coach Tommy Bowden earlier, who was the head coach at Clemson. And I asked him, I said, Coach, what's that like to make in-game changes? He said, not just are they in-game, you got to make the changes the minute you figure out that they're running something different. And it really did look like Clemson had no answer. I mean, do you think this weekend it'll be different for the Tigers, given the fact that, this is an NC State ball club that a lot of people already had sort of tabbed to challenge them, and it was a Georgia Tech team that Clemson had beaten 73-7 a year prior?
Yeah, honestly, I was surprised we were in favor by 10 points. And what really kind of was the cherry on top of the cake for me was during the lightning delay. Dabo was like, "Yeah, they threw something at us that we weren't expecting." Well, cool. You had like 2.5 hours to fix it, and you come out of the huddle and you do a bubble screen. Meanwhile, the defense prepared for 2.5 hours. They even talked about it. So I don't know if we just had an off day just from every aspect of it last week.
Yeah.
But hopefully that was the wake-up call we needed. I wasn't expecting Georgia Tech to challenge us at all. I thought we'd score 3-4 touchdowns and just run the ball, run out the clock, and get out of there with a W. Play it safe, no injuries, and all that kind of fun stuff. But now we can't hold anything back. It's NC State. They're coming full speed. They're doing the whole nine. And people are just stopping in the middle of the road over here in this neighborhood, I guess. What the heck is going on? And honestly, I'm kind of irritated about the whole season so far, because all I keep getting is rainbows and unicorns, and dadgummit, I want an angry leprechaun. I want to go out here and do a little razzle dazzle, get a little angry when you're doing some play calling. Maybe be a little bit more creative than myself when I'm playing NCAA football or Madden. Now, I can do a draw play all day, every day, but I'm not getting paid $9 million to do it. That's just me, Swanee. I'm just a little angry about the excuses. Let's put it that way.
Clemson Tom with us here on a Friday afternoon, talking about your Clemson Tigers as they get set to face off against the Wolfpack from NC State. There's also been some prior history, a little bad blood perhaps between these two coaches from the standpoint of Duran's issue, saying that Clemson had a laptop on the sidelines. Yeah, they did. It was a laptop cutting up video from, social media posts and stuff like that. But does that also maybe fuel some of Clemson's fire heading into tomorrow's matchup, and the fact that it'll be on the road? Tom, you're a former athlete. You know what that's like to go into a hostile territory. I mean, that always kind of gets your juices flowing, doesn't it?
No, it definitely does. And it's probably why I'm even getting a little fiery, in this week's segment, because I absolutely despise NC State. I don't like Dave Dorn. I don't like his face. I don't like the way he walks. I don't like anything about him. I don't like that he wears T-shirts on the side. And then the whole thing with the laptop, that was the dumbest thing ever. Like, what are we going to do with the laptop? What are we, hacking the system and running secret?
Uh-oh. Did we lose Tom?
Plays? Like, get out of here. It was an excuse.
Uh-oh, Tom. I think I might have lost you, man. I'm gonna put you on hold for just a second. We'll see if we can't get hooked back up
Or
with
just
Tom here on the program.
nonsense.
803-450-0086 as he makes his way, who knows, to an undisclosed locale and possibly to a golf tournament. His son, Xander, our number one golfer. That's the guy we root for. Some people root for Tiger Woods. Some people root for Rory. I root for Xander. That's what I do. So our number one golfer out there with Clemson Tom, his son, as they make their way around. All right, so we'll try to hook back up with Clemson Tom. I can't tell. It looks like his video may have locked up. So sorry, Tom. Had to give it the old boot from the show today. So we'll get back with him hopefully in just a few minutes. 803-450-0086. You want to give us your prediction on the game? You can. We'll get back to the simulation here shortly. I'll give Clemson Tom a few more minutes to see if we can get connected back with him. I know. Listen, he's got the high speed. He's got the high speed connection. I know that. He's always got that, man. He's top of the line when it comes to technology. All right, CT. I think I got you now. All right, man. So tell me about the bad blood again between these two.
Can you hear me?
Can't. Yeah, I got you.
All right, yeah, I can barely get you. I'm going through a little bad area. No, with the whole NC State thing, it's definitely going to drive. It's a rivalry, but it's small in the past few years. I mean, we've even had players fight out there. Can't remember the players, offensive lineman, uppercutted one of their old boys and just put them down. And I know the coaches kind of had a little bit of heated rivalry going on. So I expect the book to open up a little bit more.
I think we did lose. Finally lost CT. Hey, Tom, man, don't worry about it, buddy. We'll get back up. Yeah, he's talking about Isaiah Battle. And you'll recall that Isaiah Battle threw a punch there on the road in Raleigh. I can't remember the defensive back, but it was a small guy. And Battle was a big kid. I mean, Isaiah Battle was like 6'6", 300 pounds, athletic. As a matter of fact, I think I remember there was a situation where we had a guest on our program, and I said, "Who's the best basketball player on the team?" They said Isaiah Battle. I'm like, "What? That big dude?" They're like, "Yeah, man, he's great." Tom, don't worry about it, man. We're good. We'll get back up next week. Clemson Tom and Xander, our favorite golfer, hanging out with us here earlier today on the show. So we'll get back to the simulation here on the program today and let it rock and roll. So appreciate it, Tom, man. Thanks for being a part of the program on a Friday afternoon. All right, folks. So back to the sim and back to what Tom was saying. I think there is some bad blood. I think that there is some disdain from the Clemson Tiger fans and Clemson Tiger Nation for the NC State Wolfpack. And I think that only fuels further the fire for a lot of you when it comes down to facing Dave Doeren and that bunch. And so with that being said, I think you would hope that it would light a little spark, a little sparky plug, get things going for Clemson early in this ball game, as we've kind of seen in the simulation today. A little bit more offensive attack, a little bit more on the ground attack with DJ Uiagalelei's legs. And again, I think the most concerning thing for you as Tiger fans has to be the slow start, because I could see the slow start for Clemson festering and growing and becoming a bigger and bigger issue with every moment. And if that ends up being the case, that the Tigers are fighting tooth and nail throughout this contest on Saturday for every inch of ground that they get a chance to get after, then guess what? All of a sudden, the doubt starts to creep in. All of a sudden, you start thinking about last weekend. All of a sudden, you start thinking about the difficulties that you've had scoring the football this season. And that, to me, is something that I think as fans of the Clemson Tigers, I think that, to me, as somebody that's watched this team, has to be the most concerning part of it, is that simply if you struggle early, then all of a sudden you start thinking about everything else that's taken place this season from the offensive standpoint. If you come out, however, quickly and jump on the Wolfpack, then that changes things as well. In our simulation today, officially, Clemson leading 26-6 with about 6 minutes left here in the third quarter of action. Tom, you don't have to worry about it, man. Tom's joining the studio again. We'll get hooked up next week, brother. We'll get hooked up next week. So, again, sort of watching this simulation play out, following the Clemson Tigers, and then seeing the result that you've got now, sort of a mid-range between comfort and not. Like this last touchdown that Clemson just picked up to go up 26-6 would be, I think, a moment where you'd feel and breathe a lot easier up at Carter Finley Stadium this weekend. But I can imagine the way this game was going early that some angst would be building amongst this Clemson Tiger team. Now, the thing I love about this group is that defensively, you do feel like no matter who you play, you are going to be in the game. Like that to me is the scariest aspect of Clemson 2021 is more so the fact that if this defense continues to play at this high level, who remaining on their schedule is going to beat them if the offense begins to click at all. Like it doesn't even have to, you don't even, like I talk a lot about things running like a sewing machine, right? It doesn't even have, like right now, it is definitely not a sewing machine. I don't know what it's running like. Maybe the printer at your work, the copier, I guess. But assuming that the defense continues to play great football, they're still going to be hard out. They're still going to be tough to beat because they're probably not going to yield against anybody remaining on their schedule more than 21 points. Now, the way they do give up more than 21 points, in my estimation, is if the offense really starts rolling and you start to create more and more possessions for your opponent. As for now, I mean, I think the way this would probably play out for Clemson is if the offense never truly gets going and the weight of this season has to be put on the back of the defense, well, as long as you're just having these games that are sort of back and forth, 6, 7, 8 play drives, punt, the opponent doing the same thing, punt, and you just can never really win the field position, the clock is going to become, and like it was this past weekend where you had a low possession ball game by virtue of the fact that Clemson was being forced to run the ball. Clemson wasn't overly effective. They weren't scoring in bunches like you're accustomed to, and you went from having a game where you have 14, 15 possessions to a game where you had 8 opportunities with the football. And so all of those factors, to me, become increasingly more prevalent in what this team looks like offensively. If the defense continues to play well and the offense gets going, you're probably going to give up some more points because the offense is scoring and the defense has to face off against the opponent more often. I mean, if this thing continues the way it is now, though, where the offense isn't doing much and the defense is playing great, you might still win some games, but these are going to be low possession, quick games. These are going to be like Tommy West years. You'll be back to your dorm in no time. No time.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on I-26 eastbound near the airport exit. Also an accident, St. Andrews at Fernandina. If you're stuck, use the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's Foods.
We did it. The Buy Low at 120 Forum Drive is now a full-fledged brand spanking chicken clucking brisket rubbing veggie chopping draft pouring new Lowe's Foods. The grand opening of your local Lowe's Foods is here. Get excited.
There's a hot new podcast we think you'll like. Variety's Strictly Business. Hear candid conversations about business deals, strategy, and the future of media and entertainment from industry A-listers. Hosted by Variety business editor Cynthia Littleton and co-editor-in-chief Andrew Wallenstein. And once a month, executive editor of music Shirley Halperin will join the conversation to discuss the business of music. Listen to Strictly Business on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
At Firehouse Subs, we make our subs differently because our subs can make a difference. And now it's never been easier to grab our subs to go for you or your whole crew. With Firehouse Subs Rapid Rescue to Go, you can save time when you order online at firehousesubs.com or on our app. And we'll have your subs boxed, bagged, and ready for pickup at our designated to-go areas. No lines, no waiting. Just more big, bold, craveable subs that help save lives. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs. Save more lives.
Calling all sports fans. iHeartRadio is the exclusive audio streaming partner of the National Women's Soccer League. For the first time ever, you can listen live to the biggest league games on NWSL Radio on the iHeartRadio app. The action kicks off Saturday, September 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern when NJNY Gotham FC takes on NC Courage. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern when Chicago Red takes on Portland Thorns. To purchase tickets, visit nwslsoccer.com/tickets. Stream these games and get up-to-date highlights exclusively on NWSL Radio, only on iHeartRadio.
How do you take your pregame up a notch? Book former Carolina player Bill Gauss and his son Will at Billy G's Carolina Barbecue to cater your event. Nominated Best Caterer in Columbia, Billy G's Carolina Barbecue brings their A game. Barbecue, oyster roast, wedding receptions, corporate events, and of course, tailgate parties. And they have a food truck for those special events. Call 256-2694 to book your next event. That's 256-2694. Billy G's Carolina Barbecue, South Carolina's #1 team for barbecue.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today, I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. MAD is here to help. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Clemson Sports Talk on a Friday afternoon. I did press pause on the video for you. Clemson just finally yielding their first touchdown of the season. I thought they were going to get a stop. It took all 4 downs at the goal line. DJ Uiagalelei throws another pick that was nearly returned for a touchdown. As a matter of fact, I'm sure at this point, the simulation version of Brent Venables wish it had just been returned for a touchdown to keep that no touchdown streak intact. Clemson leading NC State in our official Clemson Sports Talk simulation 26-13. Again, the folks over at SG1 Sports Sims are the guys who are providing this for us. So, again, awesome to have the simulation back on a Friday, as Spencer noted. And the machine I'm running it on right now, burning up on the insides, trying to carry all of this. So I'm hoping that it'll run fine the rest of the way, or it'll hit its stride here as we head into the fourth quarter of action. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about, those of you hanging out with us. Spencer's excited about the revamped version. Yeah, share it, Spencer. Let's bring some more people in, man. Let's get the subscriptions up, baby. Let's go. We're going for 1,000. Let's do it. Let's see. Davey D says, hopefully this is the game that awakens the sleeping giant. That's kind of my thing too, Davey D. And I said that earlier. Like, If Clemson is at 9 in the polls today and they go out and as any fan of hip hop music in the 80s would say, hammer time, the Wolfpack, if they just come out and put up some unworldly numbers and just look like, okay, finally got the rust knocked off, then do they elevate back in the polls? I mean, is Clemson still perceived to be one of the top 4 teams in the country? And there was just some rust early on. Is it possible that Georgia is just that good and that Georgia Tech really did catch Clemson slipping? And what if things go great offensively for Clemson tomorrow on the road? How does that change how people view this team? Remember, after the win, we had to come in here and talk about some bozo, the clowns out there that were saying that Georgia looked like one of the best teams in the country and Clemson had fallen off of the map. Now, look, if you wanted to bring that take to me this past week after the performance against Georgia Tech, I would have heard it. I would have heard it. But you can't talk that action after the game that we saw up in Charlotte. It's impossible to talk that action at that point. So again, for those people who have followed this Clemson team for an extended amount of time, know they have recruited about as good as anybody in the country. This year, to me, it has really come down to the offense's inability to create anything of what we would call big chunk plays. It plays of 20, 25, 30 yards. Plays that Clemson has made fairly regularly over the past 6 seasons, and it really even longer. And I don't know what it would take for Tony Elliott and this Clemson Tiger offense to find that mojo. But if they do, I think all of a sudden they become increasingly more difficult to beat because of how good this defense is. Now, in this current game, this simulation, NC State has this thing trimmed back to 26-13, and they are in the red zone at the 10-yard line looking to make it a much tighter ball game. Caleb says, Swanee, what are the chances that Lynn J. Dixon goes to South Carolina? You know, Caleb, I thought about that. Honestly, I did think about that, probably because of the Tavian Feaster situation. But I would venture to guess that Lynn J. Dixon might look more towards the state of Georgia, maybe even Florida, to find his home. Like I think that whole deal with what happened with Tavian Feaster is going to be more rare than the norm. And so hard for me to imagine that another Clemson running back ends up in South Carolina. It just doesn't seem like the thing. Clemson's defense, Brent Venables, they get the stop, man. They get the stop. They keep the Wolfpack out of the end zone, protecting a 13-point advantage with 8 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in the contest. So what a huge play, man. That defense is stout in real life and virtually. Unbelievable. Kind of watching this defense play when we're live at Death Valley, when we're live in Charlotte, and when we're not live and we're sitting in the studio on a Friday. It's just kind of watching these guys go after it. It's incredible how good that defensive front is built. But, you know, I think, too, if your thought process on the offense is, man, they're a little young, I think that's fair because this defense is really mature across the board. And perhaps a year ago, defensively, Brian Brzee, defensively, some of those guys who came in and Trenton Simpson and guys who were able to play as freshmen from time to time, there was no mistaking the fact that I think the learning curve on that side of the ball is minimized by comparison to the defensive side of the ball. Well, excuse me, comparison to the offensive side of the ball. And so I think that's probably why, like, a Marcus Tate has struggled. I think that's why, this running back situation, even though I think Will Shipley's got a chance to be an outstanding back at Clemson, why perhaps you don't see as much productivity as you were accustomed to with a guy like Travis Etienne. And really, if you just wanted to say, look, man, I don't have a problem with what I've seen from the running backs, I have a problem with the play calling, that's perfectly that is a perfectly valid reason to be disappointed in this team. But if Marcus Tate and then some of the movement that Clemson's had up front on the offensive line with Bockhorst moving the center and McFadden having to switch sides, I mean, there's a lot going on up front that can cause you as a play caller to do things a little bit differently. If you can't do the simple things, can you really expect to do the complex? Question mark.
iHeartRadio brings you Global Citizen Live, a moment heard around the world. Tomorrow, the biggest artists on the planet unite with world leaders to demand action on our biggest challenges. Featuring BTS, Usher, Elton John, Black Eyed Peas, Ed Sheeran, Lizzo, Shawn Mendes, Jennifer Lopez, Coldplay, and other surprise guests. Join us for this once-in-a-generation moment to defend the planet and defeat poverty. Together, we can move the world one action at a time. Hear it all day tomorrow on Global Citizen Radio with the iHeartRadio app.
The IRS is ramping up collection, and if you owe back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, listen carefully. Before it's too late, check your eligibility for the Fresh Start program still offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax problems. Call our special hotline number now and find out in minutes if you qualify for these life-changing debt reduction programs. Business or personal, if you're in a payment plan with no end in sight, have unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to know your options, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief and stop collections immediately. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau with a 5-star rating from Yelp, this veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. Call their hotline number now, 800-781-3626. That's 800-781-3626. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-781-3626 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
By popular demand, Great Southern Homes now lists their coming soon communities online. Whether you're looking for a new home in your hometown, moving to a new town, or just want your pick of choice lots, this is the place to start. Great Southern Homes invites you to put the wow in your new home with options and upgrades. Live green, live smart in your new green smart home. Show your style and personalize your new home with options and upgrades from Great Southern Homes. Find your dream home today, GreatSouthernHomes.com.
It's Colin Cowherd. Here's what's trending from iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Justin Fields is making his first NFL start this Sunday against the Browns, but his head coach is going to stick with Andy Dalton when he's healthy. I've defended Matt Nagy, but he's trapping himself. The Bears traded up for Fields. He's bigger, stronger, more dynamic. What if Chicago beats Cleveland? They can't go back to Andy Dalton. Nagy has already lost the city. He can't lose the locker room, too. I'm Colin Cowherd. Style runs in the family. Athleticism runs in the family. Extraordinary runs in the family. The 2021 Mercedes-Benz range of SUVs. Learn more at MBUSA.com or test drive one at your local dealer.
Let your voice be heard. iHeart just made requesting your favorite songs faster and easier than ever. All you need are 4 magic words.
Alexa, make a request.
That's right. Now, when you're listening to an iHeart station on any Alexa device, simply say, Alexa, make a request.
Okay, what would you like to hear?
Plus, dedicate songs to friends, family, pets, anyone, anywhere, anytime.
I love music.
Alexa, make a request.
Okay.
From iHeartRadio, #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one app.
iHeartRadio.
chances are there'll never be an emergency ever again. But just in case, let's talk about a plan.
Okay.
Who is going to grab the go bag?
What's a go bag? It is a bag we do not have that is filled with things we really, really need in an emergency.
Guess we won't have to worry about it then.
Well, this is great. I am so glad that we don't have a plan.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
It's time to show your online assistant where you go for a good time. Okay, Google, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
Back at it on a Friday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. The Tigers leading our official simulation. And, yeah, we got a little glitch here and there. I know. We'll work on ironing that out for you. I got some thoughts on it, but at this point, not worth stressing about too much. 26-13, Clemson currently leading NC State with 3 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in the game. So a little tighter than I think Tiger fans would like. The Wolfpack with the ball late and driving. And, oh, my gracious. Well, Brian Brzee, somebody call the police. There's been a murder. Good gracious alive. Look out. Incoming. Brian Brzee and Trey Williams. Ooh. You know, it is weird. Like looking at Clemson's defensive line this year, there was a point in the game the other day that the four players on the field were wearing number 5, number 8, number 11, and number, was it 13? I can't remember. KJ Henry 5. Oh, and 3. That's right. It was number 3. Xavier Thomas, and then I think it was number 8, Trey Williams. Then it was number 11, Brian Brzee, and it was number 5, KJ Henry. I remember when those numbers were reserved for your skill position offensive players. Yet now and that doesn't even include Big Tyler Davis, who was out for 7 to 8 weeks with a bicep tear. Tyler Davis, who wears 13. Who else am I missing? There's another Maskell. I can't remember what number Maskell is. Is he 7 or 9? I mean, it's kind of strange, man. They look like they might as well be not by their size, but just by the number. Looks like they should be playing in the backfield. And then I think you got Rook, row your boat gently down the stream. You've got Rook, who checks in at wearing number 33. As Clemson looks like is going to get out of here with a win against NC State. Now, this is the good question as we start to close in on our prediction of the ball game. All right, so if the Tigers were to survive and win a game like this, 26-13, look, I think it was I can't remember what player said it, but they said, I'd rather have ugly wins than pretty losses. And don't you agree? I've always said, man, I'd rather win the rest of the games of my life by 1 point than lose a game every season, but just beat the brakes off of people left and right. I mean, I'd rather win by a point for the rest of my existence. I mean, that's a lot of championship trophies. If you never get beat, it's just a different way to look at it, I think, for some people. But with this team at this point, they do have a quality loss to Georgia, who still looks like one of the top teams in the country. And as long as I think they go out and win ball games, they're going to have a chance to still be in the playoff, even given the struggles they've had. But how will you feel if they come out there with an ugly win? Another tight ball game. I mean, 26-13 to me, given how good Clemson has been in the past, doesn't feel like this high quality victory. And it doesn't make you feel like things are quite right as we get that replay of the option where DJ pitches it out to Frank Ladson for the touchdown early on in the ball game, but still not as productive offensively in the video form as I know you would want them to be. And if it's 26-13 tomorrow, I think we still hear from people about the woes of this offense. I still think we hear the woes of this offense. BT Potter goes 4 for 4. So you settle for 4 field goals. Again, 26-13, settling for 4 field goals kind of feels like one of those, hey, you know what? Maybe this thing's pretty close. Maybe it's not too far gone off the truth. Again, Clemson and NC State, the simulation. And we'll have a simulation of every Clemson game moving forward here on a Friday afternoon for you, except for, I guess, the UConn game. I don't think we'll have one for that game. These two teams did not face off last season. My sister was asking what the score was last year. COVID-19 is scheduling. It was the first time they haven't faced off in a long, long time. I honestly looked the other day, and then we had some discrepancy, and I didn't go back and double check it. But yeah, so she said she would be happy with 26-13. I think any win at this point would make Clemson fans happy, but I don't know that it would cure your angst about the rest of the season and the remaining games on the schedule. The positive side, again, ESPN 3:30 tomorrow. The positive side is, as I said earlier, I believe that even in struggling, as I would probably think most people feel 26 points against NC State would be, I think even in struggling, this team defensively is good enough, absolutely good enough, to win the majority of their games with the offense still struggling. Last week's struggles and how close that game was, I think, were the biggest surprise, possibly because of the way you had beaten Georgia Tech the year prior. I mean, that was one of the big deals. James says, I would be happy just to get a win. I say 24-6, and we complain about our O for another week, right? James is essentially telling you folks, the simulation ain't too far from what he's expecting tomorrow. Is not too far off from what he's expecting tomorrow. And I haven't heard what other people have been predicting today on the game, and I'll give my prediction coming up in just a little bit. I find myself tending to trend higher on points than most people because I've seen this productivity for so long. And that was my thought process last week. I mean, I honestly thought Clemson would get to the 45-point range. I think they could easily do it here. But now to get to those numbers might take a defensive score, something like that to help bolster the offense's production. And eventually that's going to come from this defense, you would imagine. At some point, this defense is going to crack the end zone themselves. Stay with us. Final segment next.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
Fall is a season that's a little in the middle. It's sort of the best of two seasons. It's no longer a sweaty summer, but the winter chill is still around the corner. And that's the perfect time to feed and seed your lawn with Scott's Turf Builder. Even better than spring, because the soil is still warm, but the air is getting cool. So your lawn gets the most nutrients in the best combination of temperatures. Feed and seed now with Scott's Turf Builder and build the best lawn for every season. Scott's, it's good out here.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home, but worried that closing costs could cancel out any money you would save? It could happen. In fact, average closing costs for a $300,000 home in South Carolina are over $2,000. Yikes! How's that going to save you money? Cap your costs with a zero closing cost mortgage from Cap Center, your local mortgage lender.
This is our 6th time using Cap Center. And once again, the quality of service and speed of processing was excellent, and the savings are substantial.
This was my 3rd refinance with Cap Center. I've been very satisfied. The entire process is simple, never any surprises, and zero closing costs means zero closing costs.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. This ad contains real client feedback voiced by actors. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." When I asked him why, he said, "Because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that, me a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe. With their routine service plan, no more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
Way back when, Colombia was a vast dining desert, a wasteland for fast, fresh, authentic Southwestern food. Weren't nothing bundled up nice and warm in a tortilla. Colombia needed Diablos. Southwestern the way you want it, the real deal, with no shortcuts in quality and served up as fast and fresh as you want it. Diablo Southwest Grill, Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. DiabloSouthwestGrill.com.
My husband had a gun. Him and his friends would go shooting. The ammunition, unfortunately, was not stored separately. In a million years, we never thought that Emily could. There's a hole in our family that can never, ever be filled.
63 Americans a day die by gun suicide. With safe gun storage, we can give our loved ones a second chance at life. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
The American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks donors to schedule an appointment to give now. Every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood. Your blood donation is critical and can help save lives. Please, schedule an appointment today. Download the Blood Donor app, visit redcrossblood.org, or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. You can make a difference.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Friday afternoon. Lawton Swan with you. Thank you for being a part of the program, and certainly appreciate each and every one of you for just spending some time with us as we talk a little college football, as we talk about your Tigers, and certainly look forward to being a part of your afternoon, evenings, and more over on the show that shakes the Southlands website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. All right, so real quick from those of you who are hanging out with us, and I got to make sure one thing real fast, but funny text message from Bent Zero. He says, great. So now I'm wondering if DJ is getting flustered by the second team defense after our conversation with Tommy Bowden in hour number 1, since there's apparently no drop-off between the ones and the twos. That might be the third team defense if we listen to what Coach Tommy Bowden had to say. So it may not even be the second team defense. I honestly, had never really thought about. I mean, I guess you know about Jimmy Green Beans and Brent Venables playing quarterback for the opponent, but the reality of kind of walking my brain through what that looks like from a coaching standpoint is something I'd never really done. And schematically, having the backups or the third stringers kind of running the looks of the opponent and that kind of being the thing, and only seeing maybe 15, 20 minutes against the starters is something that I didn't consider. Big Mark says, I'm working, man. No one's calling out Robbie Caldwell. O-line struggled the past few years before just right now. Your thoughts? You know, Caldwell's name has come up quite a bit recently. And, you know, I think that at some point you do get into this concern realm of how do you part ways with someone who's been so successful outside of hoping that maybe he decides that he wants to move on and retire. I mean, he's been coaching for 43 years, I believe is the number. I mean, Robbie Caldwell is 67. It's not to say he can't do a spectacular job. It's not to say that every bit of issue that Clemson's having comes back to Robbie Caldwell. But his name continues to come up in a lot of people's minds because of how the offensive line is doing. Now, they are a little bit banged up. They don't have the level of depth that they would have liked at this point. And whether it's been some misses on the recruiting trail or just injuries, et cetera, that have sort of exacerbated the issues, the offensive line hasn't been good. They'll have to be good this weekend against NC State, or else this game will be tighter than maybe you want it to be. I can tell you that. NC State's got a good defense, and I think that will not help this Clemson offense, which has been relatively stagnant this entire season. I mean, honestly, it didn't even like, I don't even remember being a part of the SC State game and going, yeah, that felt good. Like, it just didn't feel like what Clemson has felt like. All right, let's see. Preston chimes in. He says his prediction, 32-10 Tigers. Again, people buying that defense, doing a great job. Let's see. What else do we have here on the front of messages from you all before I give you my thoughts on the game? I think that might be all of the text. Let's see over here for people watching. Caleb says 28-7 is his prediction. Anthony goes with a breakout 41-10 type performance for Clemson. James says he'll be happy with 24-6. So again, what I'm seeing here is Tiger fans not feeling like the offense is just going to be spectacular on the road. Although we do get one little call for a 41-point outing from Anthony. You know, for me, I mentioned a defensive score, and I think that a moment like that for this team could be as much of a catalyst as DJ Uiagalelei hitting on one big deep ball. Like, I think that Clemson is sort of like just this. It's ready to explode, and I don't think in a bad way. I think in a positive way. Again, the hostile environment, I think, actually helps Clemson. I think that there's a lot of pressure to perform and perform well when your fans are quiet and expecting big things from you. And, you know, while it wasn't a packed house on the road in South Bend, and yes, DJ didn't look great in the opener in a neutral site game against Georgia, this will have that enemy territory feel. I think that's a positive for DJ. I got to imagine Clemson's going to be better this weekend offensively than they were last weekend. So, again, look, I don't know that there'd be a game right now on Clemson's schedule I'd pick them to lose, but this is one of those where if they get into 40, that's great. Pushing 40 to me is going to be tough. I think that the opportunity is going to be there for the defense to maybe make some key plays, get some turnovers, create some scoring opportunities by field position to let Clemson put some additional points on the board. I'll take Clemson to win this game somewhere in the neighborhood of like 31-14. 31-14, I think, will be my mark, and I'll go from there. I hate to see this defense give up touchdowns, but It's hard to imagine that this thing's going to last through this weekend, and it didn't last through this weekend on our simulation. So Tigers win it 34-16. Again, thank you for being a part of the program. Go hit that subscribe button. I think the Tigers will make just enough plays on defense to give the offense some additional opportunities, and they'll put points on the board. We got to get out of here until Monday. As always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports, Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
An accident on Longs Pond at Blackjack Oak. Also a wreck on Congaree Church at Congaree Road. If you're stuck, use the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's Foods.
We did it. The Buy Low at 120 Forum Drive is now a full-fledged brand spanking chicken clucking brisket rubbing veggie chopping draft pouring new Lowe's Foods. The grand opening of your local Lowe's Foods is here. Get excited.
There's a hot new podcast we think you'll like. Variety's Strictly Business. Hear candid conversations about business deals, strategy, and the future of media and entertainment from industry A-listers. Hosted by Variety business editor